Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.
You can call this study a shocker, or you can call it government apathy. A study done by FICCI in association with Project Management Institute some time back shows that of the 1,035 infrastructure sector projects completed during April 1992 and March 2009, 41% of projects faced cost overruns and 82% witnessed time overruns. Surprise, surprise, this 18-year-old trend continues even today. And we all know that, as no infrastructure projects, be it highways, metros, flyovers, dams, airports or power plants, get completed on time. This inordinate delay, spanning from 4 months to 83 months, has indeed put the general public to tremendous hardships in their day-to-day life. No wonder you keep hearing this familiar line from all and sundry that it happens only in India. Going by the study, one could safely forecast that during the 12th plan period, the country could lose nearly 40% of $400 billion by way of cost overruns, given the fact the government has chalked up plans to spend $1 trillion in the infrastructure space. So, the moot point is, why do infrastructure projects, particularly those in PPP category, face cost overruns and time overruns?
Infrastructure project involves a large number of clearances. In our particular country, it also involves a lot of final clearances on land. And I would say if you take one single element that probably is one important element is the complete availability of clear land for you to get on to the work. Projects get delayed because decision making takes time during the execution of a project. Because any time you do a project, there would be some variations, some non-ideality of something which you find under subsoil, which is not exactly what you anticipated. Some decision has to be taken on that, some design has to be marginally changed. So for that, quick decision making has to be done. Our project management skills, when you see it in the totality, maybe are improving all the time, but if you take a weighted average, maybe we have still a lot of scope for improvement.
There are two factors which really affect the projects. One is external and one is internal. The external would include land acquisition in terms of clearances, the environmental clearances and so on and so forth, funding and all that area. But from an internal perspective, there is a tremendous lack of project management practices or qualified people within the organization which executes the project. In fact, when the survey revealed that 77% of the people responded saying that lack of project management practices are the cause for delays in projects.
Many feel that an infrastructure project is a different ball game, as there are too many players in the game. As a result, one needs to juggle around with too many balls to get the project off the ground.
Most fundamental reason why you're facing these time and cost overruns in infrastructure projects is, I think they're all poorly planned and hastily executed. An infrastructure project is not a singular project, it's a number of sub-projects. The most simple of infrastructure projects would probably decompose into 15 to 20 sub-projects, and therefore we're not talking only of project management, we are talking of program management, which means multiple projects need to be delivered on time for the end infrastructure project to deliver benefits to clients and constituencies. Last one is saying that there are multiple constituencies, right? There is politicians and local politics, there is civil society, there is the local population that's getting affected, there are contractors, there are financiers. So there are multiple constituencies with which we have to engage, right? So engaging with people, right, which is both an art and a science, has to be built into the profession of program management and project management, right?
Land acquisition and environmental issues are factors that go hand in hand when it comes to infrastructure projects, and so the delay is inevitable. But is it an India-centric problem?
Infrastructure projects being overrun from time and cost perspective is really a global phenomenon. It's not unique to India. But if you start analyzing it, what happens in India is the frequency and the magnitude is way above the expected industry norms. You get overruns in London, UK, or even the US. But in India, it seems like everything is thousands of % overrun. A lack of scope definition. What are the project needs? What is the client needs? What are the major milestones? What happens if this doesn't happen? Is there a backup plan? We just seem to dive into projects. Somebody declares we're going to do this, and they just dive into it. And as it's like trying to dig a well when you're thirsty, you're going to hit upon problems, and it doesn't get done.
Well, it's not only a drain on our scarce resources, but also points out to the fact our country has not learned from its existing projects or taking a leaf out of countries like China or Singapore. This is why, time and again, studies have shown why infrastructure projects in the country face cost overruns and time overruns. Some of the key issues are higher cost of land acquisition, environmental issues and PIL, change in scope of projects, underestimation of original cost, huge time lag between in-principle approval and submission of feasibility report, too many approvals and permissions, general price rise, change in rate of foreign exchange, interministerial wrangling, easy availability of funds. Be that as it may, but the general feeling is that cost overruns and time overruns are endemic to PPP projects. One does not hear of private sector projects going through similar convulsions. Is it to do with stock market pressures, or is it lack of accountability in the case of PPP projects?
Sometimes private sector does not take up projects on the same scale as government. So, it would be difficult to compare all of government projects with private sector because there is again a comparability problem. So, for example, if you eliminate a large chunk of atomic energy, hydel power, on which there is no analogous private sector, we would need to take a look. My sense is private sector to some extent will have projects which are less complex than government. For the very nature of things which are very complex will be handed over to the government to do. Government will either do it on its own initiative, or that's what the expectation will be. Private sector, by its very nature, because of its commitment of resources, bottom line and so on, sometimes will not go into areas where outcome is uncertain. This is well documented because there are certain instances where even trying to get PPP in certain parts of the country or in certain sectors, private sector participation has not been forthcoming. So that tends to leave a selection bias. Government often doesn't have the luxury of saying it will not be done.
So looking at this typical problem, are bankers fighting shy of funding infrastructure projects or foreigners avoiding the Indian shores? Not really. India is a good story, and it will continue to be a good story even at 6.5% growth rate. In fact, there are several projects that would make India stand tall in the international arena. On that note, time for a short commercial break. When we come back, we will take a look at some of the successful projects and lessons from it.
Organizations recognize is that all strategic change is delivered through projects and programs. So whether I be a consumer goods, a financial services, an ICT organization, or I'm a public sector, a government department or ministry delivering services to my citizens, all that strategic change, implementing new programs and projects is critical, and it happens through project and program management.
It would be an understatement to say that India suffers from huge infrastructure deficit. But it is equally true that in a democratic and diverse country like India, there are challenges and constraints when it comes to setting up infrastructure projects compared to China. While one cannot expect a metro line or flyover to spring up overnight, as in China, yet in India there are enough examples that do the country proud. Take for instance the Reliance KG D6 gas exploration project. The production in this project started in a record 6.5 years from the discovery stage against the world average of 9 to 10 years. Similarly, Tata Power managed to set up their 4,000 megawatt ultra mega power plant at Mundra in Gujarat in record time. And the same is the case with the Delhi airport. It was completed in a record 20 months.
Advantage of the Delhi airport was it was a virgin site, unlike the airports which you may be working on an existing airport. Number two, it was driven from L&T right from our chairman level, and it was on the other side. You had the Mr. Manmohan Singh and Praful Patel and all that also, because it had to meet a time target for the games. We used a very good blend of multicultural people. Other thing is, when you have a very large project, you should not be shy of recruiting for that project some overseas people, expats, as part of your team who have previously been involved in projects.
But among all these projects, there is one project that stands tall, and that is the Delhi Metro Railway Corporation. This 10,000 rupee crore project was completed in 7 years, 10 months against a scheduled 10 years in spite of battling politics, vested interests and cynicism. And all credit should go to one man, Dr. E. Sridharan.
Delhi Metro is actually a very good example. Delhi Metro represents a number of good lessons which we can try to emulate. One, there was a very clear financial model for the project. The project was created with an SPV with a very clear financial model. The delegation of authority for purposes of land acquisition, paying compensation, etc., were all done to the SPV which was created to build Delhi Metro, and therefore does in that sense point out as a model which can be used, but one would have to make similar commitments of ensuring financial availability.
The Delhi Metro, right in the capital of Delhi, capital of India, has all the problems which any project would have had. Instead of 10 years, they completed the project in 7.5 years. Today, Dr. Sridharan is known as the father of project management in the country. Right. He was driving the project, he was driving the entire Delhi Metro as a project. Every station which had to come up had a countdown timer. Everybody in the team knew that this station had to come up by so and so date. So the entire team worked towards getting those deadlines done, and therefore figuring out what are the issues which would come up, and therefore work backwards and ensure that if there is any problem which is going to come up, identify the problem and try and take preventive action beforehand and ensure that therefore the project is completed on time.
There are lessons to be learned from Mumbai's new landmark, the Bandra Worli Ceiling Project too. The contract for this 300 crore rupee project was awarded in the year 2000 and the completion date was set at 2004. But major public interest litigation by local fishermen saw the project getting the green signal from the Supreme Court only in 2005. As a result of the litigation, the design and alignment of the bridge changed. But this delay also led to innovation. Finally, the project was completed in 2009 at a cost of 1,600 crore rupees.
I think Bandra Worli is interesting, My view is that project management has got actually three dimensions. There's project management, there's a construction management domain, and there's a vertical domain. Bandra Worli in project management had a long planning phase. I think they planned it very well. And in the planning phase, they were able to have a mindset of saying, going outside India internationally for the best possible technology, whether it was precast, post-tensioned, automatic shuttering, etc. They had that mindset of going for the best technology. A combination of good planning and a combination of going for the best international standards in construction technology. I think these are the lessons from the Bandra Worli project.
Well, there are lessons and lessons from all these major projects that have been set across the country. Experts feel it is time these projects' experiences are documented so that one can avoid pitfalls in other mega projects.
Some independent institute or agency, let's just take for sake of argument, it's the PMI. They institute a high-level panel and start looking at these completed programs and what went wrong, and try to dissect them and learn from those lessons, create a database that here's all the things that went wrong, so that for the future, when you embark on the next Olympic Stadium or when you embark on the next Trans Harbor Link, let's bring those lessons into this, and then let's draft our request for proposals and the hiring process and the execution process to make sure we don't make the same mistakes over again.
In a way, FICCI PMI seems to be working in this direction. Their study reveals that there is a practice among auto companies and IT firms to meet project deadlines on all fronts as they religiously implement project management practices. The FICCI PMI study looked at some of the key sectors to find out which sectors are more susceptible to time and cost overruns. For the automobile sector, more than 80% projects are within the budget and 60% projects are on schedule. For the IT and ITES sector, 3 out of 5 companies complete 80% of projects on time. 3 out of 5 companies deliver 80% of projects within the budget. For the energy sector, 22% of projects face cost overruns and 60% of projects face time overruns. In the infrastructure sector, 80% of projects face time overruns and 33% of projects face cost overruns. For the real estate sector, 54 to 88% of projects in metros are delayed by 7 months. Delays lead to cost overruns. Well, now all eyes are on the $90 billion Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor project. This first-of-its-kind project in the country will cut across several states to set up 9 industrial zones, rail lines, expressways, ports, and 4,000 megawatt power plants. Looks like Amitabh Kant, the man who is heading the DMIC project, has a Himalayan task. But he is looking at creating sovereign incubated SPVs and then implementing project management practices from day one. On that note, we take a short commercial break. When we come back, we will find out why India needs to adopt project management culture and why it should be made mandatory like the West. Stay tuned.
Driving value in turbulent times is critical because organizations were focused through the recession and coming out of the recession on continuing to deliver value to their ultimate customers. And it was a theme that has resonated well with both the practitioners, the individual project managers, and the organizations that employ them, whether they be public or private sector.
A recent figure given out by the Ministry of Statistics during the question hour in the Rajya Sabha reveals that out of 555 projects that are currently being implemented across the country, 190 projects are facing a cost overrun of nearly 60%. In value terms, this 60% works out to 130,000 crore rupees. This is a colossal waste. Clearly, the need of the hour is to relook at the way infrastructure projects are conceived, planned, and executed, so the cost overruns and time overruns are perhaps brought to a single-digit level. A simple, effective, time-tested, and the least expensive way seems to be the adoption of project management practices. In the developed countries, project management practices are mandatory. Looks like the Indian government is realizing its importance as the 12th plan document reflects this concern. The 12th plan says project management capabilities must be improved for the country to get better returns from public investment in infrastructure and also in the social sectors. Project management with a view to deliver on time and within cost is a learnable capability that can be institutionalized as demonstrated by the development experiences of Japan, Korea, Singapore, and China. A nationwide drive to project management must be an integral part of the 12th five-year plan. So what is project management? In simple terms, it means plan what you want to do and do what you planned, or plan the work and work the plan.
Project management is nothing more than a disciplined approach to executing projects. There are systems, processes, and tools that are put in place, and if you do those rigorously, It's just like executing any other job. You know, you do it step by step by step, and if you have problems, you go back and circle back and do the analyze and fix it. For lack of understanding, because a lot of the decision makers in the government are not even engineers who understand management, so they don't put high value on this. Secondly, if you look at the procurement process in India, it's all cost-based. Although it's changing now with some of the clients like the Mumbai Industrial Corridor, even the Delhi the Metro or the MMRDA, they are beginning to use the cost-based selection with qualifications. So they call it QBCS, qualifications-based cost selection. Now, you know, even there, the cost is a factor, but at least not as much as a low bid. The problem with making a low bid selection is that bidders don't incorporate the project management aspect into the bid.
This anomaly of moving away from low cost-based tendering towards quality-based cost selection should make companies factor in project management cost, which could be around 2 to 4% of the total project cost. But the saving it generates eternally is how one should calculate the ROI here. So this boils down to the nuts and bolts of how can India create a project management culture.
We don't have a culture of turning out project management professionals and having them employed. PMI has been set up in the last 4 years. We have some 20,000 PMP accredited professionals. I think we need to do a lot more. We just have 4 institutes for teaching project management. China, by contrast, has 100, 150. I think we need to have much more done at the academic research and development level for promoting a project management culture.
However, many feel that all 3 stakeholders, the government, the industry, and the academics, should come together to foster this culture.
The project management culture in India can be created if there are 3 stakeholders which are involved in this for the country. We have the government, we have the organization, and the academia. The government needs to encourage and endorse that the project executing organizations must have qualified project management people. The organization must develop talent of the current people to ensure that they are qualified to deliver the projects. And third, the academia has to ensure the project management programs are integral part of the program of the curriculum for both engineering and MBA schools, so that when students come out of the college, they come out project management knowledge, awareness, so that they are ready for the industry.
We do need a few national level project management institutes which more focus on hardcore project management around infrastructure, oil and gas and power. I think a few institutes like this will have to come up, and once they come up, they will give people a very knowledgeable introduction into the various skills of planning, value creation, cash management, integrated project management, and this will help people to come trained to the field rather than get trained by companies or on the job.
If we compare India with China, then we cut a very sorry figure. In 2004, China had 1 full-time college that offered a project management degree program. Today, 116 colleges in China offer the project management course. In 2008, when Project Management Institute was set up in India, it found that only 1 college, Nikmar in Pune, offered a 2-year degree course in project management. 4 years later, the situation has not improved radically. There are now around 30 colleges and institutions that are offering project management as part of a course and not a full-time one. So that's a big gap between China and India. The Department of Training, DOPT, is of the view that introduction of a course on project management in public services in the induction or in-service training programs of various training institutions, both in the government and in public sector undertakings, will help in inculcating principles of project management among officers engaged in various stages in the implementation of public sector projects. Well, optimistically speaking, at least there is awareness about the need to adopt project management practices. But that's not good enough. We need to fire on all cylinders to be in the same league as China so that India can save billions of dollars year after year. And that can only happen if all the 3 stakeholders, the government, the industry, and the academics come together and foster project management culture so as to produce thousands of Dr. Sridharans every year.
Focus. Ideate. Innovate. Enable.